the button so I don't know when you're actually live.
We are live now. Please be careful.
Oh,
Anything you say, Ken, will be used against you in a court of...
Technical difficulties.
all right. Welcome. We are live, I guess, so they tell me. Actually, the live little icon did show up, so now I know we're live, and you're not just lying to me. So I am the BP professor. We are live with Hangout in the Crib with the BPC Crib crew. My computer is apparently still on vacation, although I am not. So anyway, welcome. And we have our crew. We got Hefe.
Howdy.
And Daniel.
Hi, everyone.
And Brian.
Science.
Yes, he likes to go by Two Doors. That's his preferred name.
No, that's what you call me.
Yes. Well, so you're back from Alaska, Larry. Did you have a good Wi-Fi plan up there and on the cruise?
No, I had no Wi-Fi on the cruise. I had cell coverage in ports, and that's about it.
Oh, so you had to come all the way back home to Club Baby Seals?
Yeah.
Well, it's partially never mind.
If that's what you call getting my points today.
Well, I mean, the history of what's gone on in Alaska is more what I was referring to.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say only 2 of the bases I hit today were baby seals. One was pretty good. I finally was able to get a Harlock's or Visago's Pride, and someone had a bunch of hyenas that were doing pretty good damage. Anyway, sorry, I turned it back towards talking about battle pirates. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I guess I should present some slides, and we can get moving. I don't know if you're actually able to. Are you going to be able to see the slides, Larry?
I think so, but it's going to be on that 5-inch screen.
Okay, so do you want me to read through them until you?
Yeah, you should probably narrate.
Okay, I'll read through them until your update is completed. Yeah,
it's like 88% now.
Okay, all right. So we may not be too far away.
This is what, 20 minutes after I started that reboot?
It's close to it. Over 10, over 12.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's start off with the bug fixes. They fixed an issue where the drone mega module would accumulate repair time from losing drones in combat. I don't have the drone mega module, so it didn't impact me.
So this is kind of interesting though, because I thought that was just how it was supposed to happen. That when you lost drones, you had repair time.
Yeah, I know it did. I know it did it back in the good old days on the ships, but I didn't. Again, I don't know enough about the megas to speak intelligently about them.
Yeah, that's how I thought it was supposed to happen. So that's pretty cool that at least it's free repair.
And they fixed an issue where players would get an SOS for moving hulls in and out of the defense fleet slot. Yeah, I heard a lot of people complaining about it. I didn't really test it out because I don't have anything new to move around in my defense fleet. But I guess it's fixed now, hopefully.
I've experienced that one.
Okay. And there's some VXP discounts, but I'm not terribly interested in them. There's like 40 to 45% off, or 45% off the assault classes that they want you to use.
If you're just gonna coin VXP.
Yeah, if you're gonna coin VXP, I guess it's better than spending the full amount. So, but it's still, an arm and a leg to coin that.
Yeah.
And I guess the piece de resistance for the show is the Lost Continent. We're not sure which one of that. Is that Australia? I don't know which one that is, but okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
It broke off from Antarctica because global warming is a thing.
Okay. Well, I know they call India the subcontinent because it crashed into Asia because it's a different plate. I don't know. That might be it too. But right now we're looking at the different targets and what's recommended for them. The only real change here is the S target, tier 7, has got an additional target in it, the 103. With the recommendation of the high-rank Phoenix and Skyfire fleets, as opposed to Tier 6 is just the normal ones. And not a lot of change from last month. And again, still no DSET, but oh well, maybe next raid.
So what you'd expect, right, is some target difficulty escalation from last month because they expect players to have more full fleets. I think you've got it on the next slide. So yeah, you're about to switch.
Yeah. Okay. And
Talk about points.
Yeah. So we've gone through the points. It's let's see if that one more click makes a difference. No, doesn't interfere with anything. We've gotten the additional 103 for 2.5 million. Which brings the total tier 7. The S set used to get 4.5 million per target. With the addition of the 103, that sort of dilutes that, and now it's down to 3.25 from
3.75.
Thank you for your math, Brian. I was thinking the same thing.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 3.75. Okay.
And if you want to get really technical, tier 7 was 4.4 in practice for reasons unknown to everyone. If you hit the SS, you remember.
Okay.
It's like they gypped you like 100,000 was bad.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't think. Well, I don't know if you know, Larry. They released all this information. What time? 3
today? Yeah.
Like 5 hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was later. It was later than normal.
Yeah. I got no previews.
Yeah, so you're getting a little over 1 million per target in tier 6. So you still have, there's still some things to be gained there. If the tier 7, the 103, which nobody has seen yet, is too difficult.
Yeah. So what I was about to say on the last slide is that the you expect, essentially in the way they do these raid cycles now, you expect the difficulty to increase as the raid cycle goes on. I mean, that is what we've seen in the last couple cycles. So what I'm hoping is that maybe, they did reduce the points in the S, so maybe they'll do that instead of escalating the difficulty. Or maybe they'll do both.
Yeah, I don't know. But how did everybody? I mean, how I'm assuming everybody's much more well prepared for the S set than they were last month. So I mean, it makes some amount of sense.
Right.
And Larry, are you finished updating yet?
Yeah, I'm trying to get into the. I'm almost in on my computer.
Okay,
almost.
I was just letting you know because you're a little. There's a weird little squeaking noise that pops up quite often. I was just encouraging you to switch over when it's available.
Almost there.
Okay, all good. All right. On the left-hand side, we saw what we saw last month. There was a price reduction here, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was just for the Phoenix.
Okay.
And now the other 2 prizes had been brought down. So it's 30 million for top left, where it was 40 million and then it was 35 million for top left because they made the Phoenix 15 million halfway through.
Okay. Alrighty, and we'll talk about the Rage, the Radon Slinger, and the Radon Breeder later on in the presentation. So, I don't think there's much here to talk about besides that price reduction. All right. We have dueling Larrys at this point.
Let's see if this works.
Alrighty. And then we have the Lock Store, where we have all our normal shards that we're used to seeing. And then we have the charged armors, which last raid they increased to 7 as the raid proceeded, and I hope they do the same because there's so many uses for them at this point. But the limit of 5, I guess it's on one side it's good. Kixeye can control the number that are out there and plan accordingly. And also people don't get overwhelmed by seeing the number 10 over there and think, oh, I have to get 80 million for the corrosive and then 60 million for 140 million for just the 2 of them. And I it's a balancing act because people want them, but people also don't want to have to get that many points.
People want to get everything, yeah.
And the thing is too, it's become difficult because they're expecting 2 fleets to be built. They're expecting the skill in the auto fleet to be built. See also last cycle when they're like, oh, use your icebreakers to do these targets to get the, I guess it was the incinerator, I think, and use your icebreakers to get the Skyfire in the initial release of that hull. So they want fleets to be built, and there's not enough charged armors to necessarily go around. That they're keeping it low here, but I think it's more on the players' end now. It's not, oh, I need to get everything. It's no, just get what you can and appropriate what you have. You're probably not going to get every single thing, even if they up it to 10. Who's gonna get 80 million for CO and 60 million for M in a 4-day raid while getting other stuff like the highest end, but they were already set PvE wise. And also, if they want something to funnel their points into, they can look down 2 rows on that right side and see that number.
Yeah, and the other thing on the bright side with all this is as I recall, the CO was 12 and the M was 8 last raid cycle. Per plate.
The tech store it was. I know it was 12. I think it was 12 and 8.
Yeah, and then did they drop it down to 10 or did it stay at 12?
I know they dropped it down. Let me see if I can find last month's.
Yeah, they've steadily been decreasing the price of all the armors. And I wonder how much the X armor is going to be when we see it next again. Probably 12 again for the skirmish.
For C1 or C2X.
Yeah, we'll see if they do that when it comes back around.
Okay. It was 8. Well, it was 8 and 6. No, it was 8 and 6 for the last raid too. The last 4-day raid.
Okay, so it was just 12 and 8 in the tech store.
Yeah.
12, 8, and 6. 12 for the CO, 8 for the M, and then 6 for the X. Okay.
Yeah, actually, yeah, 1.5x the price because we have 1.5x the time. In theory, it's not like we have to work or anything. And there wasn't like 355 prizes in that raid.
Yeah.
Or we could also spend our points. Rina's Rage, which we'll talk about later, for 40 million, and the Katie's, the new Uber ship.
Mega Hall, Super Hall,
yes,
Super Hall,
yes, which is for
buyer
5.
beware.
Yeah, it's it's interesting, and when we get to it, I have some. I'm really surprised there's some things they haven't fixed when they released this haul. Can anybody remember the Cesium Scarab? But whatever, we'll move on. In case anybody wants to use it in their base card. Alrighty. The unlock store. It's all good. I think they're missing one thing. That's what that little slot down there is for. What does everybody think they're missing?
The Skyfire Hall itself?
And there's also one other thing. The Skyfire Hall itself wasn't that difficult to get in the TLCs.
Oh, the good UAV special.
Yeah. Because if somebody didn't get the Phoenix early, quote unquote early, they were forced to get it right in the raid, not the early raid, and so they were getting that side of the tree, the left side of the tree, and so they couldn't go over to the right side of the tree and get the advanced targeting circuitry with an assault hall. You know, you can still get it in the TLC with the garrison hall, but you need to. That's, you know, that third level was a pain.
That was 50 Shades of TLC right there. That's what that was.
Well, yeah.
What, did you have another comment, Larry?
No, I mean, I did it coin free, but I burned up my icebreakers, Visago icebreakers, and my Zelos tank, and most of my gridiron mono tank, and took some damage on my monos. And
yeah, I think Daniel took he did it also coin free, but he took over 20 hours of damage.
Yeah, I think that's about what I did too.
Yeah, but as far as if somebody's wasn't that well developed in the game at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got two, I'll say, well-built garrison fleets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with, you know, my icebreakers have charged, and I've got the Visago, and, you know, I built those mostly with the tokens from all those TLCs, but still, I mean, you got to be up there and keeping up to be able to do that. And somebody who's really needing Skyfires isn't doing that.
Yeah, you had the top two fleets, like, fully decked out, and a spare tank, and you needed pretty much all of that.
Yeah.
To get the special for the secondary in terms of power hull in this raid cycle. Like I mean, yes, there's build tokens and VXP tokens, but that's not what a special is worth. No special is worth that. Put a bunch of zeros at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, we did talk about this on I don't know if it was a Wednesday or a Friday show. It was why Larry was off. But the hope is, my hope is, the next time we see that TLC, they'll jostle those around and allow people to get the advanced targeting circuitry at tier 2 or tier 1, because they rotated them before, or they release it here for what, 4.75 million.
Yeah, put it in. I mean, what, next raid's supposed to be the tech store, so let's hope it at least shows up there.
Yeah, or you know, maybe they'll think about releasing it here, and it was just an oversight or a graphical glitch, something of that nature.
Sure.
Oh, and I forgot. Before we get to this, I didn't include the because I'm sort of boycotting the whole idea of these overpriced things that they put in that timed raid where you only get like 2 days to do it.
Yeah, fuck that.
You know, so they're charging $4 million for the agility system 4 and something for the stunned armors. I don't,
two and a half.
2.5
stun.
For the stun. Yeah.
Hot dogs and beer at a baseball game is a better buy than those things. Pre-ordering No Man's Sky is a better buy than those things.
Oh my.
The cost of the build tokens, I guess it makes sense. I mean, the Skyfire one day, there's still no Phoenix, but I guess they gotta, you know. They got a method to their madness on this.
I think they're being consistent there, at least.
Yeah.
We've only got one more raid in the cycle. I'd rather see them than not, but they like to copy paste things. So,
Yep. Alrighty. Let's get on to the Rage. It's okay, yeah, this is the right one. I was making sure right before we got on, some of the slides got jostled somehow, but I just wanted to make sure we were dealing with the right one. Yeah, this is the regular Rage, not the Rina Rage, which is the flagship that's also available. It's intended for, it's got a throw range of +5, radioactive reload of +50, radioactive damage of +50. Everybody's excited about having a thrower conqueror, aren't they?
Well, I wouldn't be unless we got some new kick-ass thrower. Hint, hint.
We all saw how well the incinerator went over, so you know.
I was gonna say we just got the incinerator a few months ago. Like,
the incinerator, because that's where you put it, in the garbage disposal, because that's where it belongs.
And it's got a lot of complications to it. It's got, and wait till we get to Rina's Rage, but it's, let me see, is there anything, well, let's talk about the untargetable. Let me see if I got the little picture here. All right, this is what happens when they take 100,000 armor points of damage out of 125,000.
Thanks.
It looks.
Hey, you wanna get on camera there? Kicksai brought me pasta.
Oh, very nice. Alrighty.
The Unicorns of Love fan brought you pasta.
Yes. And this is what it looked like in the video, which sort of, you know, it's not as clear because I did a little screen cap from the video, but it looks like the shroud that we're used to seeing in some of our favorite FM targets or any of our garrison targets. But I talked to some people today, and it's not the MPC Shroud that we're getting. This is, and I almost wish they had a separate graphic so people don't get really upset when it doesn't work at all that way. So what
I'm
happened
upset already?
Okay, well, you know, that's why you're watching the show, Larry. So now you understand that it's not supposed to work that way.
Okay.
It looks that way, but what happens is you may have 5 ships stacked here, and once one takes 100,000 damage, and you're not going to get to the second one. I mean, unless maybe if you loaded it, no, not even if you loaded it with all Pandamorts and all what's the 6250 the
Reaver Bulkhead.
I still don't think you're going to make it to 200,000. But you might be able to use some of that strategy if you wanted to space it out. But what happens is it looks like from what we're used to, that if there's 5 ships here, that they're all untargetable and they're not going to take any damage. That's not what's happening here. If one of them is taking 100,000 damage, it itself is untargetable. Nothing can fire at it. If it has something incoming, that is still going to give it damage. If there's a ship underneath there that you can't see, it will aim at that. And if it's a splash-based weapon, it will still damage the one with the gray shroud on top of it.
It just has to be able to aim at another ship, right?
So, okay.
So basically, what you got to do is you have to play them like prides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just thinking the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And so it's, I mean, when I first saw this stat and sort of saw the video, and didn't pay close attention to it. I was very afraid. I thought this was going to be a very overpowered thing, a la Inquisitors with muddle missiles, and survivors. That sort of overpowered, or muddle gluts, but it's hard to tell until we see them in action. But that's my understanding of how the Shroud works.
But I'll tell you what, man, you load these up, 5 of these. The only thing it doesn't have a lot of built-in deflection is radioactive, like you're showing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can put plates on for that.
Yeah, the plates are sloppy. I mean, they do let through. I'm not sure how the math works, but I think each one lets through 600, and I'm not sure how the math works if you exceed the base. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but yeah, radioactive is the way to go, because once you add Rina on here, if it's four rages and a Rina, this goes up to 9,000, the concussive, and so that's what happens because Rina adds that to, that's one of the things that Rina's good at adding.
Rina concusses you?
Concusses, yeah. I'm not going to get into that.
I mean, maybe you in particular.
Yeah. But she's good, at least at 1,500. So that's what we got. And I was going to do, I mean, everybody knows that they sort of release things late, but I'm sort of curious because this is a very well balanced. I think if you look at the 5 ships line, I think it's very well balanced as far as relative, except for the explosive. The explosive is also weak relative to how much damage some of them can do. But this appears to be a blitz fleet, so the only one you got to worry about is a D100S or D99S, I forget. But and that might not even be an issue. But I probably wouldn't mess around with the cat mortars. But they seem very well balanced, and I was curious, and I didn't do it yet, like what the average or the sum of all the deflections is, but because it ends up being very well balanced relative to some of the rival halls, as far as if you take all 5 of a rival hall into something,
well,
they're way less balanced.
Something not shown here, but you can see it in the slide itself. Splash damage reduction of 10% per hull. So with 5 of them, your splash damage is reduced by half. Then 50% turret defense. Your damage is reduced to 1/4 of what it was. Then explosive deflection of 10,000, which means, can your explosive weapon deal 40,000 damage in a salvo? I hope so.
A shot, yeah.
One shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was looking at hyenas again, just because it looked like those bases I hit with the prides, it looked like the hyenas were the only thing doing damage. And so, you can get a hyena up to 45,000 per shot easily. So even with the turret defense, I guess you're still not doing a whole lot more, but at least you're above that 20K penetrating.
Yep. So it has a 2-day, 2-hour build time, which isn't bad. And the repair efficiency is basically what we saw with the other Conqueror halls. It's well within line. And let me probably step back in case anybody wants to talk about anything that's just on the blueprint. Or should we move on to the weapon and the special and maybe come back to this after we have a better understanding of everything else?
I'm ready to move.
The overload adds combat speed. The first one, that's important because if things start to target, like if you take a strong hit from a hyena, that ship is probably going to zoom forward because it just took a lot of damage, and that might have triggered that overload. So the ship just suddenly spurting out ahead of the rest is something you're going to have to plan for if you run them reasonably together.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? The one that just took all the damage is now the one that's, racing towards its death.
Well, it's actually probably a good thing because if you're racing on ahead, you're probably going to be closer to the hyenas, so that'll make them target you. And if they have priority targeting, they target the lowest health ship. That's going to be this thing that got super fast, so it dodges all the splash. It can tank hyena turrets for the next, 15, 20 seconds. And turn speed. And it just kills things. Kills it dead.
Kills them dead.
This hole is so... It's not... The whole picture isn't there, but this thing is...
Yeah, I think it's going to blast your faces.
Sorry. The special abilities, that's... You're getting all that deflection per hull. Like every time you get a new hull, you get another 12,000 ballistic deflection.
That's what
we'd like to think so.
Yeah, okay. I mean, because Larry wasn't here, but we raised quite a stink about some of these things, and there was a clarification in the forums. It mainly dealt with the bloodthirst, and the duplicate aura cap of 5, and what it actually meant and whatnot. You should go back and watch that show and drink a few beers. It's it's fascinating. And how everybody wasn't. We just highlighted the amount of confusion that was going on with some of these blueprints, and I think we did a good job with maximizing, showing them the confusion that could be had by just reading the blueprints.
Well, you should see the confused face I had when I saw the Katie's, and I was like, hey, that means it gets 100% of what? How does that work? Once we get there.
Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. The Katie's Rage. Or no, I'm sorry. Now you confused me.
Rayna's
Rage.
Is it Rayna or Rina?
I always thought it was Rayna.
It's Rayna. I think it's Rayna.
Okay. Congratulations to Rayna for having a ship named after her. Good job.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You never got the Professor's MCX.
Well, yeah. I think it needs to have something that rhymes. And is anybody familiar with I guess it's because it's translated from Chinese. Like one of the big ships that still historically has been used in China. It has a different meaning, but it's called the Junk. Anybody want to Google this at home? So I'm gonna make it.
You want Hefe's Junk?
Yes.
No, please. We got to double bag it.
Build Hefe's Junk. Put it on the water.
Yep.
And watch it sink.
Hefe's Junk got sunk.
Yeah.
That's good.
So,
I like that one.
So Rayna's Rage might have been chosen for alliteration in the name. I'm not sure if
Can I be completely and totally politically incorrect?
You saw what just happened, man.
I mean, we were talking about Hefe's Junk.
How many times does that raid go off a month? That's all I want to know. I'm done. That rage.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway, wait.
Exactly.
That wasn't worse. How was that worse? And yeah, for 4 days a month there's a raid. Anyway, so
To that.
yeah, I don't know if it's good.
Right.
If it's good or bad that, like, are they saying she's known for her rage?
Yeah.
Are they saying? I don't know what that's. But good on you for having a ship named after you. Pretty strong. It's. You might.
Can I ask who's Rayna?
Rayna is the leader of PNLS, one of the largest alliances in the game. PvP goddess, as I understand it. I don't follow the scene much, but I know people that do.
Oh, okay.
Was that right, team?
Yeah, pretty much.
No, there's a lot of people that don't follow the whole BP.
Admittedly, I didn't like. I only knew who she was because I run with the TFC guys, and they know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, it's nice to understand that part. Why there's a ship named after her.
and it makes sense that it's a PvP ship because
Yeah.
she runs one of the big alliances, and she's really good at PvP. So There we go. Over, because I guess Hefe is either dead or going to get another beer. Over on the bottom right corner, there's a big red box. And in this red box is one of those auras, like, oh, an additional aura. Lovely. So you get even more deflection and more damage. And oh, God, I have to calculate this too. And a reconstruction matrix. And
it's healing other rages.
Yeah, it heals other rages. And the other interesting part is, and the one I wanted to talk a little bit about as far as the strategy is, the other rages don't have anything that's, at least in the blueprint, shows resonant trigger yes. So if you want to use the resonance capacitor, do you use it on this one or do you use it on all of them?
You use it on the other ones, and you use it on this one to activate if it's self-activating. Which,
but it's only
that hasn't been clarified.
Well,
but if this dies, you lose that.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Do you just use it on this one and then use siege battery or whatever on the other one?
But then they're going to be uneven. This one's going to.
The indication is that these should be stacked when they run because the range is only 40.
Yeah, the range is only 40.
Oh, the range of that aura. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything should be stacked and ran together.
But
then this is going to dart ahead because for one, if you use the res cap only on this but nothing else, you're going to have the bonus combat speed. So that's going to put it ahead. For two, this heals everything else. So it's going to prevent the others from reaching Overload while it itself reaches Overload first and probably more frequently. So it's going to zoom on ahead and the other ships just can't catch up. So you have to do this weird, like, maybe it is the 2 to 5 macro where you just have one ship on 1 and everything else on 5 and you have to manage those mid-play.
I think it's a driving skill. I mean, most of us have developed a driving skill where you can let the fleet get ahead just by pausing one, hit one stop and then move everything forward.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem. I just think you have to keep it within that 40 range or it doesn't do any good. I think they need to have the res cap on there to be affected.
Is that also the transfer, the repair ability also is 40 range?
Yeah.
It appears that way, yeah.
Even more reason to keep them stacked because if you get dead ones out front, you're not going to do any good.
Yeah, except for you missed the earlier part when we discussed the untargetable and how that works.
Well, what's going to happen? Okay, if you have them, I wouldn't. Res cap is not my recommendation because of the fact that once the front of if all of them in the front starts getting damaged, once they get like the rage ability, the berserk. They'll just speed on ahead, leave the Rayna behind. They'll get out of the field.
Or the Rayna speeds on ahead and leaves them. And what if this gets, if this gets stunned, then it loses its fields, and you lose your res cap bonuses.
Well, I think we've gotten to the point to where there's a standard build of Ag 4. Possibly if with a res trigger, then you'd use the res cap so that you don't necessarily get stunned and you keep everything together. This is a George boat as far as I'm concerned. He's going to love stacking all 5 of them and go to town.
And go to town you will.
And the only issue that we brought up with that was the fact that if you stack them, you basically are eliminating this untargetable.
Why do you say that? I haven't had a chance to read about the untargetable
Well,
mechanic yet.
there's not much written. I was talking to some people. It looks like, we can go back. It looks like Shroud, right?
Yeah.
You saw the video? It looks like Shroud, but it doesn't cover. Let's say you have one that becomes untargetable and pops up that Shroud, and they're all 5 of them are stacked. Only one of them is impacted. It doesn't protect the other ships. So therefore, if you got 5 of them running stack, one of them is untargetable, and you're getting hit by splash weapons, this one still gets hit by the splash weapons, and the other ones are still getting hit.
Yeah, the splash weapon hits everything. Untargetable doesn't mean they won't take damage.
Yeah, and so therefore, it doesn't do you any good if you run stacked.
And it's so hard to, if not outright impossible, especially with the Rayna's flagship, to get all 5 in Shroud at once. Like that's just really.
I wonder if you want to just like run a Rayna and a regular Rage and just have a happy couple and run the regular Rage in front.
The angriest couple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
An angry couple, sure. And just run them in a pair. Just try hitting with 2. I don't know.
Yeah, but if you do that, doesn't it reduce the number of?
Yeah, then you don't get less duplicate.
I mean, you get less penetration, or not penetration. You get less deflection.
Yeah, you're right.
And everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a cohesive unit. It's not from the way I see it. It doesn't get separated.
Yeah, and as we move on and talk about the radon slinger.
Oh, hello.
It's it has a shockwave damage, so we don't know how many stacks you need at this point in order to get that to work. So I agree with you, Rum, that you need to have multiples in order to get as many of these shockwaves as possible.
But
Sure.
this is,
Refute.
this is
I
a
have math.
splash weapon. We've never had a splash weapon.
We've never had a multi-shot thrower. I've done this spiel about an hour ago. I guess I'm going to do it again here. So, first off, this weapon's dumb. Let me tell you how. So,
Good
because
dumb or
this
dumb
has
dumb?
Okay, busted, OP, broken.
Okay, so
Just shattered into
too good dumb.
very
okay,
too
dumb.
good dumb.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so it's got a multi-shot. And it's got a shockwave. It's kind of like a cyclone launcher, but it calls itself a thrower, which is a little weird because it's a launcher basically. I think it's going to act like that at any rate. So you want to up your multi-shot and you want to up your supercharge. But you can ignore the launcher supercharge because this is not a launcher; it's a regular. So if you put a mission, if you put a mission generator and interception system on this, along with the benefit from the hull itself, you're going to have 7.3 supercharge and 5 shots. So if we assume each shot deals the 7.3 charges, so 10 of these, 5 shots, 50 shots, times 7.3, it's 365 stacks with 1 ship with 1 shot. If we assume that it's 120 stacks for a shockwave, as is usually the case, but they never say it anywhere, you're getting 3 shockwaves per hit. 3 shockwaves per ship per hit. What the hell?
Yeah, this is gonna melt.
And this you can't put the radon slinger on because it will mean you can't use the emission generator. So stacking is strange. And
you're talking about the radon breeder, right?
yes, I'm sorry, the breeder, the special.
Yeah,
Special with this. You can't use that and do all this because it takes out the multi-shot. You can't use the mission. Sorry if I jumped the gun, but that and okay. Yeah, so take that 3 shockwaves, you're plus 2/3 damage because you've got plus 2 multi-shot and a 3 multi-shot weapon.
Yep.
Plus all your stacking buffs, plus maybe your res cap buff if you're that baller and have the flagship, plus all the other damage that you can add on like I haven't actually done the math because I forgot about the aura and the stacking capacity of such and the res cap and the everything, but
Yeah, you could put, I don't know, viscosity generator. I mean, there's plenty of ways to up radioactive damage.
do I have one? I don't even have a way to do that. I have SS5, turret defense, emission generator, interception system, polonium accelerator, because it's the range too.
Yeah.
And that's at it'll put you about 103 with what the hull has itself. And then pick your favorite agility system. But you could go like, well, I don't think you can use a lot of the radioactive damage buffs because I think one of the other specials does it too. I forget, but if you want to, you can go super deep on with siege targeting and go building damage. But this thing's insane. Like, what the hell? And you can put this in your guard. Like, I'm finding a ship to cut for this in my guard because it's stupid radioactive damage, and if they don't have a radio plate, they're dead. It doesn't matter if they have all the rages and the Rayna's Rage, they're dead.
What are you going to put it on?
I'm going to put it on a Rage.
Okay. No,
I'm going to put it on my Harlox Alpha 2.
You notice that it does have, like, the Rage does have a shorter range as well.
Yeah. It's going to... So you can snipe it if you're good, but ideally that means you're taking fire from other things. But if you just go up and go into range, you better have a rad plate or you're dead. I don't care who you are.
You could put it on... You could actually put it on the incinerator. It'll have the same range.
Oh, that's right. It has a longer range.
It also has splash because the incinerator has extra splash.
Yep.
But,
Oh man.
Yeah, because I was also wondering
Got
because
to build incinerator now.
I mean, how would people at this point? I don't know. How are people building justices at this point?
Not for radio.
No, but I mean, not at this point. Because I was sort of waiting because, we've seen all these Conquer Halls, and they're all weak to radioactive. I mean, the issue would be the 88 range, but then you also got the issue of the Justice sometimes lasts a long time against a lot of targets, and people try to run past it.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of base hits where people try to run past the Justice. And if you put this on a Justice that somebody is trying to run past, I think it might ruin most fleets' day, wouldn't it?
How many?
Yeah.
How many weapon slots does the Justice have? Let's look this.
7.
7, yes.
Oh, okay. It's all right, I guess.
But when I'm
Next-
saying
Does the Justice have the
I'm saying
range
a lot of
boost?
people try to run past most Justices. I've seen a lot of people try to run past them, and this seems like a possibility with this. And I haven't thought it through enough to figure out if it's with the breeder.
It looks like a nice surprise Justice. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
You expected? What did you expect? Talons? Expect scatters? No. You're dead now.
So. Alrighty.
Would it go nice on the Alpha Behemoth? Well,
I'm
I think-
putting it on.
Yeah, and I would still keep, even though at this point I'm going to keep the some of the polonium throwers on there, assuming that we're going to get some accuracy based weapons are going to come back, because nobody's hitting bases right now with accuracy based weapons. If you think about it, people are hitting with the V Pride, they're hitting with the Inquisitor. They're hitting with the Inquisitor with muddles, and then the muddle glut, and
then you got Liberators, I think is the only thing accuracy based.
But no, but when's the last time?
Too much? No.
Yeah.
Liberators are great to peel off Justices. I watched a couple of hits today where Liberators just walked right in, killed a Justice, and didn't take much of the damage from the Justice.
they do like one salvo and just kills it.
Yeah, it just disappears.
Huh. Okay, well, there's something. All right, let's should we keep rolling?
Sure.
All right. Or did we lose Hefe?
No, I have to stay. Oh no.
Hefe. All right, so what else? I mean, we saw briefly that next special, the Radon Breeder, company with the lady with the nice breeding hips, I guess. That's what I was thinking. But it had that multi-shot, although not the supercharge, like Brian, you were saying with the
Emission generator.
yeah. But it does have the reload, right? Which will get you more shots faster as well.
Yeah, it would be great if they showed us the number of stacks. That's something required.
Yep.
You know, because sometimes it ranges from like 30 to 120, and your strategy on builds would change tremendously if you knew, you know, where it fit in that spectrum.
Yep. I think that lady could like snap your neck between her legs.
It's basically Chun-Li.
I don't know. Maybe, you know, maybe in the after show I'll invite her over and everybody can watch her snap my neck. But yeah, I mean, again, because this came out fairly late, and I had some technical difficulties with Google Slides. I wasn't able to see how all this was able to stack the multi-shots. You know, and Brian talked about it a little bit earlier. Do they all stack together? Can you get like +8 multi-shots or whatever?
No, you pick one. That precludes the others.
Oh, okay, that precludes the other. Oh, okay. Alrighty, let's see what's next.
Now,
it's Daniel's ship.
It's Katie's.
Yeah. He dated
Katie's
her.
got some big old titties. That was an old Chappelle bit.
Yes, I do remember that. When they were all living in the house. Yes, I do recall that. I circled the repair duration because it's consistent with all the other super hauls, but that 10-hour repair duration is multiplied by 400, so that becomes 40 hours.
Oh.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's consistent with the Ghost Crawler and everything else. It's consistent, but yeah, it still sucks.
That's a nice work week.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It's 40 hours to repair it. It is misleading, but it's consistent.
why couldn't they just put in a day and something?
Oh,
there since
because they're
1 day, 16 hours is what it is.
Because the repair modifier also affects the armor you put on.
Yeah, but the way it's put together is odd, because if you think repair duration 10 hours, okay, that's not bad. And then, just people aren't used to this repair modifier. And I mean, at this point, does it even matter? If you have a 1 day, 16-hour or 1 day, 16-hour repair on the hull, does an extra hour on, does the amount of, it only has 2 armor plates. I mean, does it even matter? I mean, that's a drop in the bucket,
Yeah, you could use charged armors as well.
Yeah, you could use M armors, M and
M and CO.
Yeah, you could. If they gave you more than 5 of them, you could do it.
The other
one of each, but yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The other mega halls do have a 400% modifier, and they do have the day and 16-hour repair.
Not on the blueprint. Check it. Double check that. Go to your Intel lab and look at them. This is consistent with them. If you go to your shipyard, it'll show you the total repair time that includes the repair modifier. But if you look in your Intel lab, it's consistent.
Not really. I mean, I'm looking
No,
at
no.
the Proto Nemesis right now
In your intel lab, or where are you looking at it?
in the shipyard.
That's why I said don't look at it in the shipyard. Look at the blueprint.
Okay.
Go to your intel lab, and if you don't own it, go to shards and look at the shards, and you're able to view the blueprint.
Oh, I own it.
Okay, well, you own it or not, but yeah, take a look at the blueprint, and this is consistent because I think the Proto Nemesis is 10 days, 19 hours as opposed to 10. Or I'm sorry, 1 day, 19 hours as opposed to 1 day, 16 hours. It's even a longer repair time.
Yeah, I see it. 10 hours, 51 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but if you look at the how this thing works, it's not going to take much damage in a lot of situations.
Sometimes.
What situation are you going to put this in?
Assault targets.
Or you can stick in your base. Oh, yeah. I should bring up the, when I get another beer, I should bring up the text that goes with it. This is the most confusing ship ever. Cadiz possesses 4 swarms of drones. The first swarm will be at the beginning of the battle that will intercept any penetrative or corrosive damage until they are destroyed. The Cadiz will spawn these drones slowly until as they get destroyed, which Okay, and then they start spawning concussive and explosive. And then at 15-20 ballistic, radioactive, explosive, penetrative, respectively. Like every single time it reaches a different quarter of health, it starts to spawn different protection.
Yeah, that's weird. But
yeah.
But it's got the. If you go back to the defense. Oh wait, the
doesn't have
drones.
There is no defense.
Oh,
Those are the drones, not itself.
The special abilities.
And this goes back to what I was.
Okay.
Back to my issue I brought up earlier in the show about the Cesium Scarab UAV. Because this thing can take 22 UAVs, and the Cesium Scarab applies 100 plus 100 deflection for each damage type. You can get 2,200, but it's been bugged, so it doesn't actually show on the builds. So you could get 2,200 deflection on top of all of this. I'm getting a slow cap from Brian for some reason.
That's not even a defender hull stats. It gets bypassed completely in PvE, and it's at 40 hours to repair.
But if you had 22 UAVs going after a ship, it would at least be interesting to watch.
That's why you pick ones with accuracy, so they'll hit it.
Yeah, like you do a Banded Hornet or something.
Yeah, you could, but it's. I just don't know why they haven't fixed it to even, because people get hit when they get hit or slowed down or go around corners, they get hit by the Cesium Scarab. I'm just wondering. I was just really surprised that they released something like this with no defensive stats, because the defense is supposed to be taken care of by the drones. Why didn't they at least fix that? You know, because now people are going to be really confused.
Well, in the special abilities, this is the confusing part with the special abilities. It says it has 100% stun resist. It has 5 max active drones, and then the corrosive defense 100% and penetrative defense 100%. That means itself, it's getting those 100%, or is that with the drones that are getting the 100%?
This is why I think the game developers need to have their own show where they talk about releasing this stuff, because it is very complicated. They need to have their own show where they break their own news and explain this stuff, because I'm
the idea of intercepting the idea of intercepting damage and splash damage existing gives me problems. Like, if the Cadiz is there and a drone is 20 units away and gets hit by a mortar with a splash of 25, so like the splash damage should hit the Cadiz too. Does it just not hit? Is it absorbed? Because it's not like it's intercepted. It's not like the drone gets all Iron Man at the end of an Avengers movie and jumps up and just takes the mortar in the face and just leaves the Cadies. That didn't happen. So I don't think it's going to work as well as they'd like to think it does.
Well, it is a capital ship, and none of them work well right now anyway. So,
well, one of them worked well until they put in sonar turrets, and then you just get unless you're that one guy. Who's that one guy who's a ghost crawler god?
LG.
Yeah, that people keep throwing around this guy's like ghost crawler god. That guy. If you're not him, don't. I find it strange that what you are protected against rotates. So yeah, assault, then skirmish, then siege, then garrison. Rotates like the seasons. But you have a bandit hornet, which works and does pen damage. You have some other bomber thing which sort of works and does explosive damage. There's no one that does concussive, and the one that does ballistic sucks. So, yeah. It's technically meant on defense to be able to sort of absorb stuff from a particular raid type, but it can't always dish that damage back out. And what, are you going to make a 40-hour repair ship a tank for your other ships that get in and deal damage? Like, what?
I'm sorry, but this thing with 40 hours repair, it better do some serious damage in the base.
No,
it's not. It's not.
Good luck with that.
No, don't even.
You're 36,000.
It's gonna melt in a base.
Like they're gonna emancipate you and you're dead.
Are you basically trying to convince me that they want all the capital ships to be used for PvE only?
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm not running this in a base. You want to
There's no way I
spend a
would run
month
this in a base.
Well, I'm not saying that I would, but I mean, somebody's going to, and then they're going to be upset.
Sad.
Well, yeah, of course. But we won't
have
find
a bad
out.
Time.
I don't think we're going to find out this after this raid because only getting.
What's the build time for this haul? Has anybody looked that up?
Somebody said it was 32 days.
Yeah, that's like 21 days.
Fully stacked, probably. I think my blank hole was like 21 and something, but I have a R&D 30 and an officer, so it's probably like 25 days.
Yeah. So
blank hole.
Yeah, it's 21 days.
So since it's been revealed, I'll say that in the town hall we were asked about a new super hull, and my first comment was, I just can't imagine tying up my shipyard for any period of time to build any kind of super hull the way the game works now. Right? I mean, who's going to tie up their shipyard for a month?
Yes, I totally agree.
For something that's PvE only.
For anything, but yeah, something that's PvE only. Sure.
When we already have specialist hulls, we have specialist hulls that we build every 3 months that do exactly the same thing.
Yeah. I've had my shipyard busy for, I don't know, a month and a half doing the hulls for this raid cycle. So yeah, do I want to spend another month plus outfitting on this? Nope.
No. Plus, I don't think we're gonna be able to build this after this raid.
No.
Yeah.
So then, right? So this, you can't use this in a raid because by the time you can build it, this assault raid cycle is over. So you're going to use this to clean up assault targets on the world map? Woohoo!
Yeah.
When we already have the Phoenixes.
So what you do, right, is you wait for the concussive UAV that's not going to work because it's probably slash-based. And you go out and you get this thing chunked down to 75%. Then you go and totally wreck, like, maybe a sub thing, sort of, for however long.
Hopefully you got
with
something
your
that's
concussive UAVs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's
those.
going to be an everything type of, like, if it's going to be, why didn't it just make it a generalist?
Exactly.
That way, it could get all the. It could take all the charged armors. It could take all the, all the specialist stuff.
Generalists can't take. Can they take any charged armors?
Yeah, they
Yes.
take all the charged armors.
Oh, do
Yes,
they?
they can.
Okay. I've
Mhm.
never really. I never tried to do that. Okay, because it doesn't specify.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to make it an assault rate only if if it has all these defenses against everything.
The one thing that I'm looking at, and I think is there something missing off of this description for the blueprint?
Are you talking about?
It's got no thermal and no sonar.
Yeah, that I said the same exact thing.
Oh,
No,
well,
no sonar, no thermal, neither. So this could be sniped.
And the thing is, like, if you are, because you just die in one salvo to reasonably well-built Hellwraiths, right? To say nothing of anything else.
Yeah, very good.
Yep.
Does a Calamity Tide just one-shot you? Like, is that the world? No, it's immune to corrosive at the start.
Yeah.
So, fine. 2 shots you. Fine.
What's the shield for?
McAfee
I don't
wants
know,
to do something.
I think I'm getting some sort of update.
Uh-oh. I know how those can go.
Yeah. All right, I canceled it. All right, my free trial ended after.
Oh, okay.
I wish they would have not made this, like, yes, it's air and countermeasure weapon. Make it standard air and countermeasure weapon. Like, don't force us into UAVs when you're going to troll us with, oh, it's defendable against everything, and that's how we made it fair. That's how we made it useful in this new post-hull class world. Let us use weapons that will damage those targets.
Yeah, I'm sort of wondering if this means that there's going to be another UAV that comes out in the DLC or whatnot, because we sort of need another. We need another one because they always perform according to the blueprint. And
Well, they said there was another UAV coming.
Yeah,
It's going to be the escalation weapon.
Escalation weapon. Yeah.
But that would be penetrating. That can't be concussive. Because it'd be useless in the raid cycle.
Well, I don't think this one's. I mean, it says corrosive and penetrating. It starts off with that, but
this is assault defense.
And then it changes to what, siege and then skirmish. I mean, who's going to
assault,
damage
siege,
it?
assault, skirmish, siege.
So here's the point: is they're asking for a huge build time commitment for this thing that players. I mean, we just don't know how this is going to work. Fundamentally, right? How good, right? So these drones are taking damage instead of the ship for a while, even when those work, right? And the drones add 20 or take 25 health to spawn, but don't add repair time. But you do have that 25 health when you spawn it. So how much damage is the drone going to suck up before it dies, or how is that drone going to die? And then, so is it like really invulnerable? So if you have this and you run it into a corrosive penetrative target, your drones suck up all the damage and take no damage, and you're all golden and you just walk these assault targets with no damage?
Until you get hit by a flaming cheese ball.
Yeah.
Well,
but again, okay, fine. You're already ruling this out for bases. I mean, do you just walk every assault target with this?
No. He's rolling out the targets that we're currently hitting. The flaming cheese ball is what happens when you hit that volcano thing. And
that's explosive. Right.
Yeah, that kind of broke their word massively. Anyways, no, I don't know.
But at the end of the day,
I wouldn't. The only thing I think this is maybe a giant trophy.
I mean, so are the rest of them, except for the Ghost Crawler.
Well, the Ghost Crawler as well.
Well, at this point, yeah, but the Hellstar was great for a long time. The Hellstar and the Ghostcrawler have been two of the best used capital ships they've got. I don't think anybody was ever afraid of the Proto-Nim.
Yeah, we used to be afraid of the Proto-Nim. We used to be afraid of it back when
it was
when
pretty
it first
badass.
came out. Yeah,
Nobody ever worried about the Man of War.
I never got hit with a Proto-Nim, and I never had one in a base that I was hitting at all.
Well, I've seen them in bases. They were
rare back in the day. Remember that you could only get them from track bases.
Yeah, they were really rare.
Then
but
you stack them up, and then they gave them a tummy tuck and a boob job, and they became much better.
Mm-hmm.
If you recall, once they added like the 100 thermal, and they did all sorts of things to the Proto-Nem to upgrade it and update it.
I mean, there's still a video on the Kickside site where you see the two Proto-Nemesis fighting each other, and it was like the spectacle.
Yeah.
Because of the repair time.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, they really wanted to encourage that.
Well, now that we've dealt with this, Judy Rakin made a post today, basically the end of it, that, my takeaway, you guys can read it on your own, but my takeaway is they sort of heard the players talking that they think the mechanisms for the fleets that have been released are too complicated and too many ramifications and whatnot, and that the remaining Deadly Sin hulls that are going to come out are going to be pushed to 2018 because they're going to be complicated. And in the meantime, we're going to be given ships that are more simplified and don't have crazy mechanics. And, as we've seen with a lot of these, we can go back to Rayna's Rage. And, you got to agree with them that this is a bit much.
4 packed rows of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's this one and that one, and there's this one, and the impacts of all this. I mean, it's one thing as because this is a Conqueror Hall. It's one thing as this relates to being a Conqueror Hall, and you're building as a Conqueror Hall, but then you have this one, and you have all you have the rivals. You got the 7 deadly sins. How do you defend against all this stuff and try and boil down, pages and pages of ships and the interactions that they can have with the weapons that are available?
Yeah.
I mean... Well, and don't forget about the unlisted effects on the blueprints.
Yeah. That's,
I mean, things that you can't know. Somebody was showing me something this week about a... Daniel, I think it was you showing me about some numbers that were actually on a blueprint that weren't there. It was what turret was it? It wasn't the I can't remember what it was. No, it was one of the specials.
Yeah, it was the specials. It was the countermeasures loader. It has the 20%, the 20% countermeasure loading.
That wasn't there.
Reload, yeah.
Reload, right.
Yeah, and it wasn't listed on the blueprint itself.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Boba.
But I think this is a good thing. I think they've been listening to people. So I take that as a good sign. I really wish they would have. I mean, the tricky thing that I think that's going on right now is they tend to try and they're so afraid to nerf anything, even when right away everybody knows it's a problem.
Muglet. Sorry.
Not even the muddle glut, just the muddle missile. Because now the muddle missile is going to be put on the Inquisitor and the Gluttony, and it's way more powerful on the Inquisitor. And so they tried to fix it. And by giving us this and giving us that and whatnot, because they were so afraid people would rage quit over them, like, okay, well, we're going to take some of the spread away from the Merving action, so it's not taking out half a base. We're going to do this, that, and the other thing, as opposed to they tried to sort of play into the whole thing of you know, we're not going to nerf it, but we're going to give you the ability to fix it. But then, you know, now that we have the Inquisitor, it opens up, you know, with all the additional, you know, because you can put twice as many muddle missiles on a fleet of Inquisitors than you could Gluttonies. And then you got the corrosive damage increases. And then you got, you know, at Bloodthirst where it doubles again. And then you got the stacking ones with the more you have in the fleet. There's so many things that it's, you take a problem and now you're able to multiply that problem and make it way worse than it was before. Larry, have you been hit by Muddle Inquisitors?
I got hit yesterday by one of these Voltron fleets, and it was one Muddle Inquisitor and like 2 oppressors, and the guy died. Like, so no, not a whole fleet of Muddle Inquisitors. The guy died once, like after doing like 16%, coined it, came back, did another 16%, died again, and then coined it and left.
Yeah, well, see the problem with that fleet is it doesn't have the firepower that the other ones do, because I don't know, in the after show we can watch, you know, me and Rum's bases get rolled by full fleets of these. Because it's got what, close to 4 times the firepower of the Muddle Gluts, and it splashes out your fleet from a huge distance. I mean, you can have, you know, relatively top end fleets in your guard, and they just get rolled. It's like they're aiming at something way far away, and then, you know, your Harlock Alpha is poof, it's just gone. One hit on a splash out. It's brutal what they've done there. I mean, it's worse than the Visaga's Pride. So
okay, no, I missed that excitement.
Okay, well, in case anybody wants to know, Larry's base is in. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
So I'm actually, I think we're going to need an actual fallout shelter to hide in while the rain of radioactive death from the rages rages on above us.
Well, yeah, I agree. I think that they're introducing these boats way too fast, because you just get set up to kill one type of conqueror and then whoops, here's another one. So all of your changes are for naught.
And there's no, but the raw damage on this is ridiculous.
Sure.
I need to do the actual numbers, but like I'm waiting for what? So Rad Plate 4 is our highest, so we're going to have 5 and 6 in the FM. We're going to have that concussive UAV in the FM. And everyone's going to wonder why, and I'll know why. What else? What else is there? You
Probably
know, just
won't be in the FM now. Probably going to be in the next raid, after the next raid.
oh yeah, because you know then it sort of matters. We have lead panels for radio defense. Mine's like 60% right now at our 10. Lead panels 3, but
Are you thinking there's 4, 5, and 6 coming?
no, not necessarily. I just don't know if that's enough, even though the damage is halved for building and wall, but you have like siege battery and siege targeting, so that doesn't really matter. Just
those lead panels, since when I got them when they first came out.
I don't know if they've ever been offered since, like a lot of the turret armors that people were wanting but didn't get all of them, I guess. I'm scared.
Okay, well, let's speculate for a moment. With OP10 being right around the corner,
Coming
Probably.
soon is like, with the timing on this, isn't it? Won't we expect at the end of the year?
Yeah,
Well,
we
what
expect
type
to
of
buy
coming
these.
sooner we're
If you think
talking
about
about
it, by the time you get these boats built and hitting bases, it's going to give them their 1 month run to completely demolish bases, and then OP10 will probably come out with some sort of radioactive protection.
Well,
I mean, that's just speculation.
the alloy panel MR I think, could grab that in the dubs,
Yeah.
track uranium bases.
I just don't. I just hope they don't put that protection in the walls.
Yeah, you and me both. I'm tired of walls. I wish walls would go away.
Yeah. I mean, just yeah. I mean, or at least they take the coin away from upgrading a group of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Take my
Dumbest-
uranium,
dumbest
take
thing
my
ever.
xinthium, take up whatever. But stop making me do these things one at a time and make me wait for 6 or 7 seconds between two of them. And how many we supposed to have? Like 400 of them?
And don't forget the game crashing in between because they didn't have it right.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I hope they fix that.
So
At least make it, if they're gonna make me coin it, at least make it reasonable, please.
Yeah, that's an old thing. Like like coining rank. That's something that's like so old in the game. That was back when it was 1 to 25, where maybe it was considered a
25.
reasonable metric at that point in time, as far as how much money they wanted for the rank. Now that the 1 to 75 is,
Huge.
it's a whole fleet is,
I don't
way
think
way more expensive than Brian's car.
I think in the days where it was only 5 ranks, you could not coin the rank.
Yeah,
That's a relative new thing.
Yeah, but I think the metric was set up at that point. I don't know exactly when it happened, but it seemed like the metric must have been set up at that point where it was, $10 or something. But now it's hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, I think the coin for the rank was fairly recent. Actually, I think it's maybe like 2 years ago.
Maybe.
I don't know. You can check.
Maybe a year ago.
All right. Should I see if anybody else wants to join the show, and we can proceed to the after show, unless anybody has any tips and tricks or what does TSM say that I always find bits and bobs that they would like to add to the show before we add a few more people in and proceed to the after show.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's do that. I'm going to have to bail, actually. I can't hang around tonight, so unfortunately.
Yeah, and Corey is still upset. Corey is upset unless we go at least 3 hours. Corey gets upset, but he still does enjoy the after show. Corey, you can join the show, and you don't have to talk.
But if you want it to go 3 hours, then you should talk and make it go 3 hours. That's how it works.
Sure.
Yeah. So I put the link out there, and if anybody would like to join, feel free to do it. And I guess nobody in the panel has anything that they want to throw out there at the last moment.
Nope.
Not I.